What's up, guys? Welcome to Locker Room Logic. I am your host, Matt Kane.
And I'm your co-host, Charles Cannon. And like he said, welcome to Locker Room Logic. This is episode 16. And we just want to say welcome to our very first professional guest host.
Yes.
Dr.Karreem Mebane. And I forget your first name.
Justin Lowe.
Justin Lowe, yes.
Yes, very good. Very special episode today. So,
thanks, guys, for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so let's jump right into it. We can start with Professor K. What's your sports background, sports you played growing up or watched?
Yeah, so I played all the sports with the exception of lacrosse and football as a child. And I played every other sport, even swam. I was captain of the swim team for 2 years during my high school years there. And I was a professional baseball umpire for several years and kind of moved my way up through the ranks there. And then after that, I came back home and really started to study sport and sports management. So that's my background.
We all got interesting backgrounds, especially when it comes to sports. I played the 3 major sports in high school. I didn't grow up in Connecticut. I grew up in a small town outside of Newburgh, New York, other side of the river in New York. I played football, basketball, baseball. Interesting enough, my junior year of high school, I didn't play football. I thought I was going to be a big hoop star. Coincidentally, I ended up going back to playing my senior year, and I ended up being recruited to play football. So I ended up playing at UPenn, which is 1AA, FCS. Still big time football. I don't think people realize, it's really, I think the difference. Is that tally for number one?
That's one.
We were talking about UCLA before this even started. You got the over.
That's winner, chicken dinner.
So nobody answered my question. So that was already from a couple of days ago. But, so I played, football in college and, now I got 2 sons. So I'm around the game. I have a 14 and 16 year old, soon to be 14 and 16. They're into, those same sports. So, kind of coaching them up and just watching them grow. It's fun. And, now it's, Knicks are in the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Jets are on the rise. Life is good,
That's good.
Yanks are in first place. Okay. My kids like all 3, so.
That's great.
So all New York teams were you growing up?
Yeah. I mean, another interesting story. I know that's one of the questions. My first favorite team, so I'm 51. I just turned 51. And so, Christmas, it had to be like 84 or Christmas 83 going into 84. So I grew up in New York. My dad, to this day, roots for the Mets, the Yankees, the Jets, and the Giants. He roots for all 4 very equally. And interesting, in that time, the Mets and the Giants were the better teams. And that Christmas, I got all this Dan Marino stuff. I had the Dan Marino poster. I had the Dan Marino little plush doll, the pennant. I had this little helmet. At least that's 4 things. Later that night, my dad comes in my room and he basically, comes around, locks the door, and he basically is like, what the blank is all this? And I was like, and I could hear my mom screaming, hey, John, leave the boy alone. And he's like, we got 2 teams. He was like, there's 2 teams in New York, the Jets and the Giants. We root for both. And I took it all down. And him and my mom got in this big fight about it. I'll never forget it. And, but that's a dad's job,
Yeah.
We're not raising Dolphin fans in here. But what was interesting over time, I ended up sort of gravitating to the Jets. I think I liked Joe Klecko and Gastineau and the Yankees. Ricky Henderson was my favorite Yankee probably of all time. Mattingly, Winfield, and the Yankees were terrible then. But those were my favorite guys. And so, my dad was tough, but that day he saved, me from being a Dolphins fan, But now I'm a Jets fan, so I don't know how, better that is, but.
After all these years, still a Jets fan.
Hey, loyal.
Listen,
Yeah, you got
one of these days, listen, I wore my Jets shirt today.
It's on.
You never know. I gotta at least 34 good years left in me.
You know what JETS stands for? JETS. Just end the season.
My dad's a Jets fan too, so.
Well, if the season ends early this year, we'll be on the Arch Manning.
There you go.
That's your guy.
Hook 'em horn.
That's okay.
So the question is, what's my favorite sports team? So let me first say, my favorite podcast of all podcasts is Locker Room Logic. And if you all haven't done it already, go ahead and subscribe.
Yup.
Hit the like button. Drop a comment down
Thank
below.
you.
Drop a
Like,
comment.
subscribe.
And while you're at it, smash the hype button as well. Alright? And shout out to Stella Grace and to April Brianna and to Sugar Shane and Baby Emmanuel. We'll see you in June. He's an amateur. So, typical Jets fan. So I grew up a Mets fan.
Okay.
So, one of the reasons why I go by Dr. K is because my childhood hero was Dwight Gooden. And he was called Dr. K for all the strikeouts. And so, my childhood hero. And then for football, I was a Saints fan for a long time. And then, kind of got away from that after what they did as it relates to some unethical issues as well.
Yeah.
That's good. That's cool.
So what about favorite athletes growing up? Because sometimes people's favorite athlete is normally not on the team they play for or a team they like. So what about favorite athletes?
Who cares? Well, I mentioned Ricky Henderson. There's never been a player like him, that can match the speed and the power. And I know there's players that exist, like Mike Trout comes to mind, it's kind of like, it's nice to see him back. He's been, 3-4 years. But he went about 6 to 8 years where he was undisputably the top guy in the game, right? But, like Ricky Henderson, he used to lead off games with home runs. He just had that switch hitter, right? Yeah. So you don't see the switch hitter.
They say the leadoff hitter in baseball is like,
and he was just different, people are stealing bags again. I think some, with some of the rule changes, but, just flash. And remember he used to catch that ball like this and tap his leg with it. That was when he got a little older. And of course my dad would watch that. Be like, oh, my dad's old school. I didn't love the flash, but, he comes to mind. You know what I'm thinking about? Remember the Olympics and these guys like Carl Lewis and when you mentioned, I was thinking a little bit when I was going through this and how people that influenced me growing up. I liked Patrick Ewing and Darryl, even as into the Yankees, Darryl Strawberry was a big New York guy. LT, so I pretty much, I'll get into, I know we got some, Mount Rushmore, which I like that question.
Right. So. Okay, before we get into that, what's your favorite part about just talking about sports, debating sports, especially since y'all been in the sports industry, especially career-wise for a long time? What is, has anything changed? Has certain sports the landscape has changed?
Yeah, my favorite thing is when it comes to talking about sports is to find out what other people know. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but when I talk about you in this podcast, I always say that this guy, CC, has this encyclopedic memory when it comes to all things NBA. And I try to stump you with history from the past and the answer right away. And your hot takes when you're in our class for ethics of sports management are just unbelievable. And you're the troll of all trolls as well. And so I just like to see what other people know, and then I can kind of pick up the conversation as well. How about you?
Well, I'm curious, what's your hottest take right now?
Well, right. So, all right, my hottest take is I stepped out of the GOAT debate. I don't debate Jordan or LeBron no more. I say Carmelo Anthony because I personally love Carmelo Anthony as a Knicks fan. But I stepped out of that GOAT debate because every time I debate it, I'm getting nowhere. I can make 2 debates for each player. I never seen Jordan play, seen more LeBron play. So respecting the generation before me is like a big reason why. So
you're probably good at that. You know, that is something. Like I'm the Jordan guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't disrespect LeBron.
Exactly.
I mean, we did a top 10 list, I'd put him at number 2.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so I'm not gonna like try and like slip him in at 12 and you know, make sure, you know, Barkley's in there. But
people do that too.
Well, listen, which Barkley, probably one of the most underrated guys of all time, which is a reminder of like, I mean, the NBA is ring culture, you know, and that's part of like what Jordan, you know, that's the winning argument.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
like, right?
Exactly.
6 wins, no losses. I mean, but I don't disrespect anybody that, you know, I could put LeBron there, just his longevity and, you know, if he can get past the Rockets this year.
Yeah.
That'll be it. And then they get Luka back and Reeves.
Oh,
It's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be nasty.
It's just going to be a question what ends up happening to Durant's legacy when you lose to Lakers without the best player, you know?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think when it comes to Durant's legacy, I think, you know, it was definitely debatable when he went to the Warriors. Then that move to Brooklyn, I feel like it would have changed it. It definitely would have helped, especially, you know, with the foot on the line, you know, almost beating the Bucks and sending the Brooklyn to the finals. But I think the outside factors like Harden and Kyrie being gone due to injury, or like Kyrie due to controversial issues with, you know, COVID and not taking the vaccine, I think that's when it got to a point where KD kind of like, I would say, mentally gave up on trying to please everybody, because since then it's just he's been more, you know, Twitter happy with those thumbs, and then you know how he left Brooklyn in my opinion was definitely not, you know, the best ways, and I feel like there's a certain mentality that changed as he got older. And I think he just was getting tired of getting compared to like how better he could be than LeBron and then better than Steph, especially once the Warriors won that championship in 22. And like people immediately was like, all right, they won without you. Now what can you do in your career? And the whole Phoenix situation didn't work out, and some say he didn't get the ball in his hands enough with Chris Paul on the team. That's why they traded him. Some say, you know, there was no problem. It was just like an organization's decision. Yeah. But I feel like as one of the most influential players in the league right now, you definitely, I feel like you had a hand in that, and it kind of shows with the whole Rocket situation, not having a point guard. Yeah. You know, your leadership is now in question because he's so used to having a leadership point guard around him. He's never had to truly be a leader, but now with his leadership being questioned and how their playoff series is going against the Lakers, it's more now after this, once it's all said and done, we can all now officially say he's not a leader. Yeah. Like he maybe he wants to win, but it's like you don't want to take the responsibility of what it takes to be a leader to win. And that's why there's people now saying Kawhi might be higher than him. Like, you know, Kawhi may be a solid guy, but he was able to lead a team to a championship, even though, you know, injuries, but...
Yeah, what Kawhi did, though, with the Rockets, that is one of the single greatest runs. Right? A single player who carried a team. Now, they had Siakam and probably was Van Vliet on that team. You know, Lowry was kind of in this. Marcus Gasol. Marcus Gasol was on that team. But, man, what like Kawhi did that year.
I have that run, like, second to Dirk's run.
Yeah, because, Dirk beat the big three in Miami. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, people don't realize, because, you know, unfortunately Kawhi went to the Clips. Yeah. And then it's just, you know, it's like he hasn't really played. Yes. But like people don't know that run.
That run, Toronto. I'm glad I seen that like live.
Yeah.
I'm glad I seen that like live.
Yeah, because for us, we were freshmen in high school.
Yeah,
that happened.
I still remember that shot he hit in the corner. Was that the Sixers?
That was Sixers. Yeah. Sixers. And I had Sixers going
him like 10 times.
I had the Sixers that year going all the way because I'm a big Jimmy Butler guy. I like Jimmy Butler's play style, so I had them Sixers going all the way that year. But that shot was crazy.
You know what's funny? So you guys are NBA guys, like NBA playoffs. We were watching it last night. My wife's like, "Why were you like we're watching? What was it? Orlando, Detroit?" And like even my wife was noticing. Like just how intense the games were. Like, I was like, man, nothing beats NBA playoffs, man. It's a whole other level.
Mm-hmm. Weather's getting warmer and buckets get better, so it's just crazy.
Because they know the money on the line.
Basically.
Especially like when you're a guy like what was his name, Ao Basume on the Timberwolves. That is, and you're two and a star player and another key piece and Dante DiVincenzo, they go out. That's your chance to show out. Mm-hmm. And with the playoff being such a big stage, you want to show why you're as valuable to this team as you are. And then he goes to drop 43 off the bench against the Nuggets and they won the game. And like, that's what makes the playoffs so great because anything can happen. And then especially when you get a guy like that and you don't really know his name, but he's now had a performance where you are like, boom, now you know his name. And it kind of reminds me like when TJ McConnell, when he went off for the Pacers in the finals. Yeah. It's like everyone knows who TJ McConnell is, but no one really truly valued his play style and what the type of player he is until the game 7.
But to your point, I know you want to get in there. I think everybody forgot about TJ McConnell, right? Because like Pacers are nowhere to be found.
Exactly.
So that's like playoffs matter, you know, like being in those big games.
Yeah, like I was watching the Detroit game against Orlando last night, and a guy Jamal King, who was a two-way player, non-guaranteed contract, posterized Jalen Duren. It was fire. I watched it. It was fire. But I knew him because I follow like the Heat a little bit. So he was on the Heat, another two-way guys going back and forth to the G League and stuff. But then yesterday, or he gets traded to New Orleans, then gets traded to Orlando. And then yesterday, he's playing more minutes because a lot of the guys are like hurt, or a lot of guys in the rotation are hurt. So he's playing a lot of those minutes. But just to see him like give the bench and give the starters energy, it was crazy to watch. And then had a crazy poster, crazy block. He was all over the place. It was fire. It was fire to watch.
Even to Matt to hype up another guy by the name of Kane.
Exactly. Yeah. He also wears number 8, my lucky number, and his name is Kane. So that's why I've been following him, honestly.
You know, it's so funny. Like 2 weeks ago, I was watching something where like Big Perk was like killing Banchero, just killing him, and being like, and I saw they were on the bubble, so then maybe they lost their first playing game, and then they had to play in like a winner take all game, and they were just like, listen, like if you lose this game, like you're done. Yeah. And you know, you wonder, like, did he like? He had to have heard that, and like, I gotta like, and just because. I mean, Magic. I mean, they got players, but I don't know.
Yeah, because Banchero's always been under the spotlight, especially when he did that one and done at Duke. Yeah, and especially with the whole sweating issue and him losing 10 pounds a day. I still don't know how true that.
He had some type of like syndrome when he was at Duke where he would sweat profusely and like lose like 3 or 5 pounds every game. Yeah, and
I never heard that.
Never understood that.
Well, our age group, we would call that the Tarkanian syndrome. Jerry Tarkanian was a head coach for UNLV running Rebels and then also out in New Mexico before that. And he would chew on a damp towel because he would always lose so much weight because he was just sweating so profusely, as you eloquently use that word.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, to get into it, start off, Mount Rushmore athletes. You know, who are y'all, who's on y'all Mount Rushmore?
Oh, I don't think they know about, he's not a big fan of the Mount Rushmore analogy. I don't know. Do you want to like school these guys?
No,
it's not the approach. Well, it's like, it's deep inside, he's like, there's some wokeness in there. And so Mount Rushmore really irritates him, you know.
It gets under your skin.
Yeah, but let's just be mindful of the rules, right? So on the Mount Rushmore, 4 people you get.
Oh, I know. Who was talking about having slipped in a fit?
I had an honorable mention.
You can see.
Alright, but my Mount Rushmore is guys of different sports. Okay. So people that came to my head were athletes that I saw growing up that really impacted me into like high school when I was competing. not at a high level, but at a high school level. So that's why I wanted a honorable mention.
Okay. Well, lead us off with your
So
4 plus your honorable mentions.
okay, so I got Kobe, Carmelo Anthony, Deion Sanders, and KG. Now I have an honorable mention of Derek Jeter, strictly because me as a person growing up, you see a guy who looks just like me, who carries himself with great style, grace, and just he gets a lot of flack to say he wasn't the best defensively at shortstop, but he was very graceful, smooth.
He's got gold gloves.
Yeah, he has gold gloves and stuff like that. And then to go on KG impacted me with his intensity. Like I loved him. I seen him towards the end of his days on Celtics. You know, my dad's a Celtics fan, but his intensity really impacted me. Him going up against Lakers and Kyle, and it was just so fun to watch, and I carried that, intensity in. Deion Sanders, again, like, 2-sport athlete. People don't know he could have won a World Series when he was with Atlanta. Another one, smooth, like, graceful. He just all-around athlete. He doesn't get enough. People look at Bo Jackson, but he doesn't get enough of, the 2-sport athlete. Then, Carmelo Anthony, my favorite player of all. He made the best of what he was given. And he took a lot of heat in his career. He shouldn't have. He was with bad organizations, bad leadership, but he still every day showed up to the court. He treated the media with respect, even though they were slandering him. And just an overall fun, cool guy. And then Kobe, just his work ethic, is something I look at his quotes all the time just to, get me going sometimes. So it's really nice. 4 with a +1.
If I may, I'd like to give you an opportunity, out of respect for inviting me here, to pitch to me with no retort. I'll just be a listener, like how Carmelo Anthony is the greatest basketball player of all time. Or to tighten it up, because you specifically said that he was better than Jordan and or LeBron.
Yeah.
So I just want to hear your pitch on that.
As my hot take, he is the best basketball player because, as I said before, he was given the least and made the most of it. So he turned lemons into lemonade. And just his style of play beats LeBron. Every time I watch that matchup, he will be beating LeBron one-on-one. Obviously, it's a team game, but one-on-one, he'll be scoring all the points, beating them down low, he shot the 3 better, he rebounded, he didn't really pass, but that's not a game. But yeah, if he was given the teams that LeBron was given, or I would see we'll be having a different conversation. I truly do feel that because he was cheated out of a rookie of the year. They gave it to LeBron. The Pistons didn't draft him. If the Pistons drafted him, we'd be talking about a different conversation. He has a scoring title. MVP, he could have gotten an MVP, but, KD took it, but it's over.
That's a good point. The Pistons took that year. Oh,
Darko.
check.
Yeah.
Was Dwayne Wade in that draft?
Yeah. What happened? So if the Pistons took Carmelo, the Pistons' run was they won the championship that year with Darko. They went back to the finals 05, got beat by Timmy D. But they were also in the conference finals in 6, 7, and 8. So if they took Melo, we would be having a different conversation about his career.
See, that's the pitch right there. I hadn't really thought about that in a long time. And I didn't even realize. So that was were those the Chauncey Billups, Rick Hamilton teams?
Yep.
Shout out to Rick, UConn's own.
Legend.
They actually even do interviews with the old former Bad Boy Pistons. A lot of them were convinced that they were going to take Melo.
Yeah.
Because they said Melo came to the workouts, he bonded with the team. Mm-hmm. They were like, we can't wait for you to be in a Pistons uniform.
Rasheed Wallace was just I just knew he was getting Melo. And then they didn't get it. And
who was the big muscle guy?
Ben
Wallace. Oh, man.
Big Ben.
They were loaded.
Yeah, if they would have drafted him, it would be a total.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Mm-hmm. I'll go next. For my Mount Rushmore, I have Muhammad Ali, Russell Westbrook, Kobe Bryant, and John Cena. I'm gonna start from the top. So with Ali, see, I'm a history buff, so I like getting into sports history a lot, especially mainly because of my grandfather. He explained a lot of how Ali impacted not only just boxing, but how to carry yourself as a professional athlete and a black man in the 50s and 60s. His impact, I say, the reason I have him up here is because I feel like as my generation gets older, we're forgetting what came before us and who, like, why athletes are able to have as much freedom, especially in terms of freedom of speech. And Ali's one of those first players because, like, he was like one of the first athletes to really lay his career on the line. He stood for what he believed for. And that led to more athletes like a Bill Russell, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like a Muhammad Abdul-Rauf to really like stand up for, not only just like religious beliefs, but as a person, like as what is to be like a person and, be a human. Because at the end of the day, yes, they or like current athletes make all this money, but at the same time, like, just money will always come. It's your intent, like, it's what you come first as a person and
your integrity.
Yeah, your integrity and how you carry yourself, what message you want to leave amongst the fans that watch you growing up. Because, if you're nothing but a money kind of athlete, then your fans are going to only see money. They're never going to see the hard work, the backlash players may face and everything. Russell Westbrook, I feel like, so I'm a Oklahoma City Thunder fan. I've been an Oklahoma City Thunder fan since I was 6 years old. And it started between the very first playoff matchup we had between the Lakers, and just seeing Russell Westbrook, how the mentality he carried, he was always gave 110%, no matter if he was slightly injured or just fully healthy. He was always a leader. He always stood up for those that he played with. Even when after Kevin Durant had left in 2016, a lot of players probably in his circumstance probably would have like given up or went more on like, I guess, social media rampage and bashing another player. But instead, he was able to win the MVP, break the triple-double record with 42 triple-doubles. And he was just able to instill a mentality of, you may lose certain pieces, but it doesn't mean that you yourself are losing. You can still win no matter what you have. Because we, in my opinion, had the worst shooting around a non-shooter. So for him to still able to average 30-point triple-double it helped me. It really, that span in his career really will help me fall in love with basketball. And then Kobe's our generation's Jordan.
Yeah,
so, he, like Matt said, his mentality, his work ethic, it's what our generation wanted to be. We wanted to be Kobe, whether that was in basketball, that was in certain career fields or interests that we have. We wanted to be the best. And he was able to be a carbon copy of Jordan and basically almost have the same success beat for beat, but I feel like, with his competition and him having Shaq the first few years of his career, definitely some people definitely hold that against him. But to still win two after Shaq leaves is
crazy. With a significantly lower team, I would say. Like, they have pieces, but 2009 and 2010 teams, like, if you look at them, they're pretty, like,
do you ever see that clip about the Mebane team when Kobe runs through Pau Gasol's chest? Oh man, that's Kobe.
That gets me going, bro.
I could watch that on repeat. Bro, if that ever comes to my feed, man, I can't. I send it right to my kids every time. They're like, you're just senseless. I know, but like, that's how you gotta be. That's just win at all costs.
Yeah, and you can argue Kobe put U.S. basketball back on the map just because of that. Like, he instilled a mentality in that team, and he was like, listen, no matter who, I don't care if I play with him, I don't care if he's my best friend, we're gonna win no matter what. He's like, I'll tear his head off if I have to.
I just saw a video. It was a Darryl Strawberry home run video, now it makes me sound like I'm spending way too much time on Instagram. But it was like, when Kobe was like, I don't know if he caught it, but basically it was a 12-year-old Kobe in center field after a home run that Darryl Strawberry hit. That was pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Crazy how history connects.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then with John Cena, I have John Cena on here because I watched a lot of wrestling growing up, and everyone knows WWE, that the storytelling that they could do is unmatched. I feel like, especially
as a kid, when you don't know like it's scripted, it like really
it really gets you going. And then like he was able to have a historic 20+ year career. You know, break so many records. 17 heavyweight championships. Like there's nothing that, you know, John Cena couldn't do in the time from 2003 all the way to, he just retired 2 years ago. So and just like everyone knows those 3 words: hustle, loyalty, and respect. I would say every kid from 2000, 2008, all the way up until like when we all got to high school, those 3 words were just ingrained in our brains. And then just outside of the sport, he was able to he gave back so much.
Yeah.
Like you never really see a man with his type of success just willing to just give back because out of the kindness of his heart. And he also didn't go to Hollywood right off the bat. So like at his height, which was probably around when I stopped watching, it was like 2016, 2017, he was still wrestling. Like he was still in the main storylines and stuff while he was making movies. So the way he bounced it was pretty like spot on. You know? Like he didn't just run to Hollywood right when he got to the height and did movie. So yeah, shout out to John Cena.
Mm-hmm. I like Cena. I'm curious though, like, because Cena's your guy, like, are you anti-Rock? Or is like The Rock cool? Rock's cool too?
No, to me, The Rock is cool.
Yeah.
Especially the first, like, I would say like 10 years of his career, you know, he definitely worked his way up into, you know, the main headlines. But I would say towards the last, I would say like 6, 8 years is when you could tell like the money in Hollywood kind of played more into his
the storyline that he was recently in like a year ago or whatever, they tried to make John Cena turn into a bad guy. I didn't like that. I felt like it was corny. It was useless. But when John Cena versus The Rock at that WrestleMania, or both those WrestleManias back to back, like hands down, like the most fun I had during the build up. It was fun.
Cool. Yeah, The Rock will always have my respect though.
Yeah, facts.
Camden, Connecticut's very own. Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
How's that?
Yeah. Went from Hawaii to Pennsylvania to Hamden.
No kidding.
His uncles were the Wild Samoans back in the day when it was WWF.
Yeah.
And little Rocky grew up 10 minutes from here. And then went to Pennsylvania and then to the U.
So he went to like elementary school in Hampton?
Yeah, he went to Shepherd Glen.
No kidding. I never heard that.
You know what's crazy? My mom always told me that. She always told me that, but I never like could find anything on the internet about it. And I got older and other people started saying that. I was like, all right, it gotta be true now. Like, it gotta be true. But it makes sense though, because the wrestling back in the day, like 80s and stuff, it was very territorial. So a lot of the wrestlers like traveled a lot and stuff like that. And if you didn't have a gig, then you just had to figure it out. So it makes sense. So.
Yeah. Especially, you know, with WWE headquarters being, you know, right up the street. Yeah. So it's like you want to be as close to the main headquarters and get your name.
And in the 80s, WWF was making all the money. They bought all the guys from other territories and they were making all the money. So it makes sense.
All right, I'm going to take notes on your list.
You want me to jump in there? You know, so this is a cool question, and I like Mount Rushmore. It keeps it tight. It's it's hard, but then there's like so many lanes to like, you know. And I actually did this with my kids because is it your favorite athletes? Is it the most influential? Mm-hmm. Is it the big, you know, the best? There's just so many like lanes, and I think everybody, like again, as individuals, you have, you know, you navigate it. So I came up with 4, and I got 2 for the first 2 are Jordan and Brady. Okay. And here's why. But this is like Brady's my age, Jordan's I suppose is about 10, 12 years older. Now I'm a Knicks fan and a Jets fan, and so one of like. I'm one of those like rings guys. Like the rings matter.
Yeah.
And in the NBA, and I mean football's like this too, because it's like baseball's not necessarily like this, but the best player usually wins, right? You know, so if you track the NBA going back to like Magic Bird, right? So Magic Bird won 8 of those 10 years. I think the Sixers slipped one in there.
Yeah.
You know, Bulls won 6 of those 10 years, and you know, the Dream got 2, but you know, Duncan, Shaq, Kobe, like, I mean, it's like just like an inner circle of players, like true greatness. Football's like that too, you know, whether like Mahomes is in this special place and you got guys like great players, like Lamar Jackson and, who's the Buffalo quarterback? Shame on me.
Josh.
I mean, great players, but like one of those guys, maybe both of them are getting rings. And it's like your whole life, like who you are is this ring. And like, it's just gotta be hard. And like, it's like, you know, and, but you feel like, and it's this weird place, and it's why we love sports, because we respect these guys. And one of the things I like about you, and this is a good skill to have, like you're in debating, you're, you know, a journalist, you have who you like. Mm-hmm. But your natural defaults, and I think we're like that way, and we can debate and we can argue, but like you show respect, because like you can't say, you know, because this is what like young kids will do. I mean, you guys are technically young kids, but like it's LeBron sucks.
Yeah.
Like no, you can't. LeBron doesn't suck. Like LeBron's an all-time great. Like now, don't use a negative to try to make your point about Kobe. Like you love Kobe. Kobe's better. We can make an easy case for Kobe being better than LeBron. You know, a compelling case at least. But don't, you know, slander, you know, a great legend to make your point. You know, and you did that. I remember like you just did something like that with I remember, and I was like, oh, I like that. Like you didn't go out of your way to, you know, disrespect somebody that you put Kobe in front of. Yeah. Same thing with like, no, you're not like, you got your reasons, but you're not taking away from LeBron to sort of pop him up. Yeah. But anyhow, point being is like, I always remember like Jordan beating the Knicks. When the Knicks lost, man, I was rooting for Jordan. I wasn't rooting against Jordan. And my friends have given me a hard time on this. But all those Brady years, they used to make fun of me, like, called me like that I was a secret Patriots fan, which is not true. I always rooted for the Jets. But like, when the Jets were out, because the Jets had a little run, they beat the Patriots in a,
2010.
Yeah, and that was like, I was just getting going with my wife, and that was like a big year.
I think the quote of that year was, for all the non-believers.
Yeah. Rex
Bart Scott. Bart Scott there.
Bart Scott, linebacker.
Yeah. And, but then I found myself rooting for Brady. I just have such high regard for people who are just like intense and are the best at what they do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so those in my lifetime are the 2 greatest winners. Mm-hmm. And I found myself rooting for them. And so it's true for all the folks that have made fun, my friends that have, you know, made fun of me for, rooting for the Pats. You know, I'm a Jets fan.
Yeah, I'm a Pats fan.
Sorry.
I'm a Pats fan because, not because of like Brady per se. I do like Brady. I do think he's the GOAT, but it was because my dad's a Jets fan. My first memory of the Jets was the Moss. The rivalry got Moss.
Yeah.
It was like 2007, 2008 or something like that.
Do you guys know, there's a few layers to this, but like the GOAT, the acronym, like
greatest of all time.
Yeah, like do you know where that comes from?
LL Cool J, right?
LL Cool J.
Really?
That's a good man.
Yeah, you invented it.
He had an album. So the phrase greatest of all time obviously had existed. That somebody was saying that 2,000 years ago probably. Yeah. But he titled his album
GOAT.
The acronym, the GOAT. Yeah. Calling himself.
Yes. Ladies love Cool James.
Yeah, he loves Cool James.
Yes. They said that? No.
He gets, you know, just like Ricky Henderson coined the phrase hammy. Mm-hmm. Just another little sports tidbit there.
That's crazy. I
know. You all know that.
Yeah.
Yo, that's amazing.
Mama said knock you
out.
out.
Mama said knock you out, really? Yo, that's crazy.
All right. So the other two are just like what I thought, like at any given moment, I was the greatest athlete in the world. And, Kobe got a lot of thought from me. Deion Sanders got a lot of thought from me. And I did go with Bo Jackson.
Okay.
Because, again, like that window of time, just like, the break in the back over the knee, I was like probably like 10 and just right when I was like getting into like college. And so giving up football just to play baseball, that was, that was weird.
Yeah.
And then he came back and he was wearing the black and gray and he was just dominating. Oh man, he was the, Oh No Sports, those crazy commercials with like, and the other one is like, you talk about Jeter. Cause I remember there was a time where, like Nomar Garciaparra and A-Rod.
A-Rod, my favorite.
Well, so A-Rod's my fourth. Like A-Rod, prime A-Rod.
Yes.
No, Jeter's like a bigger, better
he's
leader.
a better leader, winner.
In like, between like Nomar and him, Jeter was always like kind of third, but then, coming out of the 2000s, he had 4 out of 5 years.
Exactly.
He's like, he vaulted those guys. Nomar kind of disappeared, but A-Rod was different, man. And I'm happy for him. He's kind of come out. He's had, he's a personable guy. He's having a great, like, post-sports career. And, and he's not unfairly maligned because, he lied. And I remember that last year. But at least he was one of the only steroid guys, to be honest.
Exactly.
And his story. But he's one of the, but like A-Rod, those, like Texas Ranger years, like, he was just so much bigger and better.
A-Rod is one of my favorite baseball players. Like Jeter and A-Rod are my top two. I don't like all the hate A-Rod gets. I'm not gonna lie.
Totally
I do not
agree.
like all the hate he gets because
and he's the only reason the Yankees won. Like that 2009
Oh yeah,
championship is all him.
He was known.
He
He was known for not being a postseason player until that 2009 series.
Man. No, he didn't.
Yeah,
he had a
A-Rod.
monster year, and I was so happy because I always loved A-Rod, and he gets the hate because I mean, the steroid thing, people like don't, and comparing him to Jeter, but he did, I think it was his second or third to last year.
Yeah.
They, he kind of like held on to, I didn't do it.
Yeah. Oh, it was the second time he did it, and it was well, he didn't do steroids. He did like a cream when he was doing that cream and stuff for his hip, and it got banned or whatever. I feel like that's when he admitted to it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like he got a longer suspension than most players because he's A-Rod.
Yeah. No,
and that's what he was disputing. And yeah, it's crazy. A-Rod's one of my favorites, bro.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites.
So.
All right, Professor K.
So let's just recap this. So Kane, yours is Kobe Bean Bryant, Carmelo Anthony,
Yep.
KG,
Yep.
Coach Prime.
Yep.
And you got an honorable mention in there. I won't even mention the guy's name.
Derek Jeter.
CC, you got Ali at the top. You got Russell Westbrook. You got John Cena. And who is
Zeno?
Is that the guy's name?
Cena?
face
You
guy?
can't see me.
And Kobe.
And Kobe.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a good example of what we talk about in our ethics of sports management class. We talk about recency bias. You guys haven't done the history. You haven't looked at the tape. But that's the reason why you're in college, so you can receive an education.
What?
So let me educate you two brothers. And plus my very distinguished colleague here with his list of MJ, the golden boy, Bo I can get down with, and another guy I won't even mention.
Oh my goodness.
So
Are you a steroids, you don't belong in the Hall of Fame guy?
I'm a person who says if you cheat the game, then you don't belong in the hall.
All right, hold on. I have a point because A-Rod, I see why A-Rod cheated. Because why do college students use AI for their assignments? They want to get a good grade. they have a lot of pressure of being the best. A-Rod had a lot of pressure of being the best. And he entered free agency to go to Texas at it younger than anybody else. So he was, I think, like 25, and he already entered free agency. So I can say this: I see why he did it. I see why he lied, because us college students lie every day to our professors. So
wasn't that
Not every
like
day.
Bonds? Now Bonds said that he admitted to like doing the clear, didn't know.
yeah,
But if you are him, think about like he was the best player in the league, and then '98. Nobody's talking about Bonds. He's got to watch McGuire, far inferior player.
Exactly.
Sosa, far inferior player. Like basically carried baseball for a year and have this whole thing, and that was a big year for baseball. That was it. You know, we were all into that. And you guys, I suppose, weren't even born yet, right?
No.
What are you guys like?
21.
21. No, but so then you were born like, what is that, 2005? 04, yeah. So, A-Rod certainly went through the same thing, that Bonds did, where it's just like, if you know all these other guys are doing it.
Exactly.
And you're a far superior athlete, and yet, like, you're not, it's a tricky spot. Now, again, there's the ethics of it all.
And
I'm not...
A-Rod as well.
I'm disagreeing with you. I do understand. I'm not excusing it.
Exactly. A-Rod as well. I can see why he would do it too, because if you're putting in all this work, like giving your whole life to this sport, and you're still getting minimal results, I don't condone it, but a little extra push.
Like Luis Gonzalez.
Yeah, like
hitting 57 home runs.
Yeah, they were that year.
It was like $1.65.
It's crazy.
So let me give you my list, if I might. All right. So number 1, Jack Roosevelt Robinson.
Okay.
And the reason why, everyone that we have spoken about, including the Golden Boy, would not be where they are today without Jack Roosevelt Robinson having success. It's undisputed.
Yeah.
Another person who's not on my Mount Rushmore, but often gets overlooked, the second person to break Major League Baseball's racist color bearer, his name is Larry Doby. So Jack broke it in the National League when he was with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Larry Doby broke the color barrier with the Cleveland Indians in the American League. Second is MJ. So the reason why MJ is on the Mount Rushmore is because everyone on this table and everyone watching out there has something in their closet with MJ's logo on it. So the man didn't just transform basketball, he also transformed all of sports. By the way, what are those?
On my Pumas?
Yeah, I don't even know what those are. Third is Jim Thorpe. So for those of you that don't know, he was the first Indigenous American to receive and earn and win a gold medal in the Olympics. He's still considered today the most versatile athlete of all modern history. Played every single major sport professionally and as an amateur. And then fourth is Ali. Right? Now, any of those names can be moved around, but those four, Jack Roosevelt Robinson, MJ, Thorpe, and Ali, that's the list.
I want to jump in here quick because I like how you used Jackie Robinson, but then you talked about
Larry Doby.
Larry Doby. People don't know that baseball, way back when, it was two leagues. Like the reason we have American League and National League now is because it was two leagues that they were playing in, and somebody came along. I believe a woman actually came along and said, "You know what? We can make more money if we just integrate both these leagues." So I believe the National League played against like some Negro League teams and stuff like that, and that will be how they considered champions. But that was very interesting. I actually learned that in my Foundations of Sports Management class. It's very interesting. I didn't know it, and that is a true fact.
Was Larry Doby, though, the first free agent? Who was that guy?
The first free agent was Curt Flood.
Okay.
Yeah, when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals and wanted to leave the Cardinals because of their ownership problems.
Yeah.
And he was denied for years. And then the attorney, who was the general counsel for the Major League Baseball Players Association, literally fought and argued the case in front of the Supreme Court. And Curt Flood was allowed to be a free agent. And then that's when everyone else started to be a free agent.
And also, so going on like black, pretty much breaking into the baseball, the Red Sox have a black infielder, David Hamilton. That is their, I believe, second or third black infielder they had for their entire existence. First one was Pumpsy Green, who was a Negro League legend and then got his start in the MLB like late. I think he was like 32 or 34 when he finally got to the Red Sox. So yeah, I did some research on it.
Yeah, I like that.
And
Pumpsy.
because
Pumpsy
of that, that's one reason why I do not like the Boston Red Sox.
Really?
And also, your team is your Yankees are one of the last teams to integrate. So Jack Robinson integrated and broke the color barrier in 1947. And it wasn't until the 70s that your Yankees...
Alfred Howard.
Yeah, I do.
Just think about that. Just think about it.
I
But
do-
you guys
I do
still
think
wear the
that.
pinstripes every day. Okay.
I mean, I'm a Yankee fan. I like it. I'm a Yankee fan.
All right. To move on, college sports has changed a lot. I'm pretty sure since from y'all growing up until our time to experience it. College athletes being paid has been one of the most biggest news that in the last, I would say, 6 years.
March.
Let's just to get into NIL, name, image, and likeness. As y'all know, college athletes are now allowed to be paid for their name, image, and likeness through endorsements. Certain colleges are actually allowed to start paying players now. What is your opinion on that, and compared to how college sports was back then to now? What do you think the mentality has changed, the sports ethics things of how everything, you think everything's changed?
Yeah.
Well, how you think everything's changed?
Well, athletes have always been making money,
Yeah,
especially at the big schools and on the side. And so I'm not somebody who, I think it's good for these kids. They have an opportunity to use their skill set in a market, especially with football and basketball to make money. I do think, I don't want to say, I'm trying to think of a good framework because it's certainly not, it's changing the game. And I'm not sure it's all for the better. But, I do think, like March Madness, for example, you've already heard this take, like CJ McCollum. I was thinking he's a really good example of a guy who was at Lehigh, beat Duke.
Yep.
Well, I was at Lehigh. Great players, been around forever, probably borderline Hall of Fame player, probably not, but great career. He would have never stayed at Lehigh. He would have moved around.
Yeah.
And so I think but that doesn't mean that the sport is worse off. I do think, they'll continue to figure it out and try to, make it fair and not, I think I do worry about, there's certainly got to be, a bigger issue, not affecting me personally, whether it's financial literacy, I worry about some of these young kids, with all this money. There's, hopefully, but again, that's not my business, what people do with their money either. Lastly though, I do think, it's good for these kids. I think of somebody like Abdul Torre. We know what he got from Arkansas. It's got to be like $2 million.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's north of like $1.5 million.
Because what did the head coach, Dave Cronin, I'm just a little tangent, but how much Neil is sort of taken over. UCLA gets knocked out. Mark that down. They get knocked out and they say hey, what do you need? Your program's improving. You're on the doorstep. He's like, what do you need to get your program to the next level? He looked in the camera. He goes, $5 million.
He's not lying. Yeah.
And that's straight talk right there. And So again, that's now we're buying championships, and that's always been, that's the negative side of sports currently,
So I'm all for NIL. I'm all for it. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. U.S. Constitution says that everyone in this country has the right to make money. Mm-hmm. There's a commerce clause. You cannot prevent somebody from making money, especially college students. Mm-hmm. Everyone else on a college campus is allowed to make money. Professors, staff, faculty, student workers, as it relates to UAs and GAs on our campus in particular. But for so long, the only people that weren't allowed to make money were student athletes. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the original founder of the NCAA concept of student athlete said that if they incorporated student athletes as employees, then they would lose all control over the student athletes, which meant that they would not be able to manage the student athletes' time and energy. That's also emblematic of another trade that took place in this country for 500 years. So I'm all for these student athletes being able to make as much money as they can. No one said anything when Calipari went from Amherst to Kentucky, then to Arkansas. Is that where he is now?
Yeah, he's at Arkansas.
Or Patino jumping ship multiple times. But as soon as a student athlete, leaves from one school to another school, now it's a problem.
What about the unlimited transfers, though? That seems a little much.
Yeah, exactly.
Coaches can go and leave anytime they want. We see coaches, especially in football, leave in the middle of the season. And you know what happened when your boy down in Oxford, Mississippi, left last year and then went to Baton Rouge to become a head coach.
Yeah.
And no one said anything about that.
That's an old argument.
Well, I don't think
for getting people for allowing the transfer, because like typically you have to sit out for a year if you transfer, unless you were a grad transfer.
Yeah.
But a coach, and I agree with that. I think there's merit to that. But equating a student athlete to a coach and like. I suppose I'm going to say job opportunity, but I suppose for these kids, it is a job opportunity because you go into the portal. Now you got leverage at, let's take like Mullins. I don't think he went in the portal, but certainly it's like, hey, listen, I'm going to either go to the league, I'm going to go see what's out there, or you guys are going to come up with 4 to 6 for me. And again, I'm speculating on what he's getting, but, it's got to be in that range. And good for him. But I don't know. It just seems like the constant kids on their third and fourth team.
Well, I don't think like a lot of coaches though. They're not really. I'll say for basketball. I don't really know college football like that, but for basketball, college basketball, coaches are not really like jumping ship. Really, at least I haven't seen it. Like the big coaches are staying there for years on end, and we've seen it in the Final Four. All coaches have been like at their school for 6+ years. So
I'd agree with that, with the coaches that make it to the Final Four, right? My concern is, what about all the other coaches, the hundreds of coaches, not just head coaches, but even assistant coaches or graduate assistants? They're allowed to leave whenever they want, right?
But that's different then, because if I'm an assistant coach and I have a head coaching opportunity, of course I'm going to leave.
Correct. So if we're not going to prevent a person from receiving their reward or benefit or blessing as it relates to a promotion, why did we prevent a student athlete from achieving the same type of promotion or blessing?
So would you say like having the coaches like just pretty much ride out their contracts will be better?
I would say if you put your name on the dotted line, you should maybe be faithful and show some fidelity to that contract. But there's so many times that we see coaches leaving regardless of the season has ended. We've seen coaches leave in the middle of the season.
It should be some restrictions on it.
Right.
If you leave in the middle of the season, you should not go right into coaching your next school, but you should, get everything behind the scenes all settled. Like sign your contract.
Sit out that season.
Yeah, sit out
I
the
would
season.
agree with that. And I will tell you this. The only reason why this is a big issue is because now the rabbit has the gun. Mm-hmm. When the coaches and the NCAA were in charge for 50+ years and controlling the labor, which is the players, no one had a problem.
Yeah.
But as soon as the players got some leverage, and because of the House versus NCAA case, now everyone's upset, right? Because now the players have the power. And they're the ones that are going to be influencing what the game is going to look like over the next 30, 40 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think your point is best exemplified. I look at Iowa. That guy, I think it's McCullum was his name.
Yeah.
He was like a D2 guy. Had that kid starts with him. They get bumped up. They go to Drake. He takes that kid starts with him. Now, I don't know what kind of money like this kid's getting. But then, of course, Drake goes to the Sweet 16. Boom. For the second year in a row, now he's going to Iowa. And he was on the talk for UNC. He takes that kid starts with him again. That kid starts probably makes a couple mil. And so these coaches during the tournament, you have those mid-majors that if you get a first-round win and you coach St. Peter's or, Northern Texas, you're getting a good job. You're getting the next level job.
Yeah.
It might be Minnesota. It might not be like a top Big Ten school, but it's Big Ten, and you're getting the jump, and then those kids get left behind. So I do like seeing that the kids can move too. I do like that.
I have a hot take on NIL, but do you?
I don't agree. I don't disagree with NIL. I definitely do believe that college athletes, student athletes, should definitely be allowed to have an opportunity to be paid, especially when a lot of these names carry millions of dollars. Like we saw with Duke and Zion Williamson, he was bringing in $10 million alone off of his name. And even the shoe that he busted on him in that one game, that was alone. They was already trying to sell that for like a couple million. And it's like, and none of that money was going back to him. But now that athletes after him that are coming in with bigger and bigger names, they're allowed to get what they're worth. And I just feel like if you're going to like commit to a school off of just straight money, it's like where do you care about like the program, the history, and like the actual winning aspect of things? Because like AJ DeBanza going to BYU is so like wow, like out of all schools,
exactly.
BYU, you telling me Duke wasn't in you telling me Duke wasn't like a consideration, Kentucky,
BYU didn't even have a good year this year, but who am I?
I know you'll get into that. But it's like I feel like there should still be some sort of like loyalty, not from the players as well as the coaches. Like if the programs are going to invest this much money into you, like yes, you can go pro. We don't care. Like go ahead, go pro. But like, don't you want to sit here and still be a student? Like still be a student, like
exactly.
Like a student first, a student athlete first. And I understand, coaches there are those coaches that are jumping around, but it's like the coaches who do stay. If I were a basketball player and I went to UConn, I would definitely do 2-3 years.
Exactly.
And I would just continue to learn the mechanism and the matrix, the mechanism of basketball from the coaches, because it's like when you get to the league, it's a different animal.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect, and as a kid coming into a grown man's league, you want to know why. Like, you want to know how to perfect your game, perfect your craft, because that's why guys like Chris Paul, LeBron, Magic, that's why IQ-wise are so good, because they were students first. Like, you can't evolve in a sport unless you're not the student first. And that's why you have, like, Steph Curry went to a small school in Davidson, but he stayed for 3-4 years, and he learned that he was a smaller guy, so he learned how to develop his game, how to perfect his game, and that's why he's one of the greatest point guards of all time to ever touch the court, because he's always been a student up until he got the results of winning. And now, I feel like he would have been able to have the same, I would say, impact on a guy like Jordan Poole if, that situation didn't go bad. And and when it comes to these generational talents, you wanna like really be careful with
like
mold them. Yeah. Because if you're just like not teaching them and they're not learning, you're going to get guys like LaMelo, who takes 6 years of his career to finally appreciate what it's like to lose and win and experience like a culture shift that's like, all right, I can win. Let me change my game up. Because LaMelo, before they got Colin Kaepernick, was one of the most unserious players we can all look at. But now when you have a guy like Colin Kaepernick, who is a student, in my opinion, of the game, and he changed the culture, now we've seen the Hornets even contend for the playoffs for the first time since Kemba Walker. It's like, to see when they lost to the Magic, the first time I seen LaMelo actually sad after losing. And he's like, wow, now this is what it's like to be one of the most talked about teams and televised teams in the league. And now I feel like he's gonna want more of that. And now it's gonna, as a 26, 27-year-old, it's like, all right, let's see what we can do from now on. Let's try to keep it. Let's keep this, this car running.
Yeah. All right. So NIL, for me, I do not like it strictly because of how it's being used. I feel like it was put in place for athletes to make money, yes, and they deserve to make money, but it's not for schools to pay athletes. Like the alumni shouldn't have shell companies strictly to pay athletes, because that's what was illegal all these years. So now NIL is just you just put that in front of NIL and it's legal now. I feel like no. I feel like that shouldn't work. The athletes themselves should go and get sponsorships and get these endorsements. That's what I feel like it was made for. Because when it first came out, I think there was a couple like high school and college athletes who actually got endorsements, and they were endorsed by like some brands or whatever. But having the school itself pay you money, it shouldn't go down like that, because you should want to, let's say, like go to a school strictly on the program at hand, strictly on like, do you mesh well with the coach? Do you like some of the players they already have on the team? And also you want to learn while you're there, right? Like you learn on the court, on the field, and also in the classroom. Like, are you going to take a program that you don't have to take garbage classes and then you're stressed unless you play basketball? Like you want to, it's just ruining the overall like pureness of the game, and then pureness of a college athlete. I remember, I think Shabazz Napier had said something back in the day. I don't know what year it was, but he had said something where it was a quote where he said like, I go to sleep some nights hungry or something like that. It's taken away that hunger from athletes now. You know what I'm saying? Where all they have is like their teammates and their coaches just to lift them up. Now we're coming in with guys like they're driving Hellcats and to practice, and their BMWs and stuff. When I'm not gonna lie, seeing that and looking at some kids that are my same age, it gets me annoyed, because it's like, where's my Hellcat? But but overall, it's like, you why are you trying to be somebody you're not? Just be a college student, college athlete. You know what I'm saying? So that's my take on it. Especially because John Calipari, like, he's gotten in trouble like 3 times because he's paying athletes under the table. So now putting like the NIL name in front of it, it's pretty annoying to watch. So yeah.
Good take.
Yeah, that leads into. I'll skip. I guess I kind of match. What is like? How do y'all feel about like one and done when it comes to like basketball? Like, do you feel like it not ruins the quality of players that we're getting, but like I would say ruins like the mentality of wanting to win and actually learn? Like I said, like we said, learn, because I feel like you get so many dudes that were like, oh, I'm going to the league anyway, so. I can't wait for this year to be over. Oh, boom! I lost. We didn't make the tournament. I'm going to the draft anyways. It's like,
I'm surprised. I thought maybe there would be less one and dones with nil.
Yeah.
Now, what you're definitely getting more of, I would think, is one of the nil benefits that nobody talks about. Is more kids are staying in college, making some money, and perhaps graduating.
Yeah.
Sticking out 4 or 5 years and coming out with a degree, because one of the problems with the one and dones is that so many kids, in the NBA especially, want to go get that money, which understood. And and you're not ready.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go there. You can, you know, make money for your family or, you know. But
Yeah, I would definitely use, like, if I was a college athlete, you know, I had hoop dreams at once upon a time, but if I was a college athlete like now, I would definitely try to use it to make some money, you know, some ends meet. You know, I want to ride around in a nice car. So
Like I definitely see like the benefits of NIL, and especially like when it comes to a basketball standpoint, it's like the NBA is always going to be there.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
it's very limited. It's a 15-man roster.
Mhm.
You got 30, about to expand to 32 teams in the next 2 years. And that's only what, around 500 spots.
Mhm.
It's like it's a slim
Yeah,
chance.
a lot of kids or guys don't know that the NBA is so much of a numbers game sometimes, where it's a lot of great players are not even in the NBA or haven't even played in NBA.
And it's like why would you want to go one and done? Where like I understand, you know, the game's getting younger, it's getting faster, so you want to get these guys while it's still in good shape. But I feel like college is where you develop that strength, that grown man's strength, the grown man's health, on how to really like learn how to take care of your body. Like you can't, like I feel like players now are coming in skinnier, like compared to like when LeBron or like just Russell Westbrook, Kobe, Jordan, when all those guys were drafted. Like the reason why guys like them put on so much muscle is because it was a grown man sport. They understand. They understood like they're going up against bigger dudes. So that's why longevity. That's why guys like LeBron have been able to stay in the league so long and produce the numbers that he has, because
that actually goes in
that weight. And now with, you know, sports medicine changing and evolving, you get the more frequent lower leg injuries, the non-contact injuries.
That actually like goes into my next point.
The diet. Yeah. These dudes aren't taking the diet as serious, because look at Luka.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying the Mavericks should have traded him, but I definitely do think he should have suffered some sort of consequence, because you're not taking your diet during the season serious. Like there's no way after a game the first thing you should be thinking about is a beer. It's like it's like, I understand you're a man, you know, you're stressed. Like it's never easy to take a loss. But a beer, like a lot of players would have just said, you know what,
it wasn't even a light beer.
Go to a court and like, you know, take some more shots. Or what do I need to work on? But most players probably would have still been looking at film.
No doubt. I wonder Tom Brady, how many beers he had.
Oh
20
my
years.
gosh, facts.
You know, like, and I would say that, you know, not, and I'm lowballing it. I'm saying he probably didn't have a lot, because that guy survived off of. He came in with a shabby body.
Yeah.
But he developed this system, or I'm sure some of his like inner circle, some of his folks, I'm sure he didn't come up with TB12 himself.
TB12.
But, you know, like just, you know, the plant protein and like just staying away from sugar and all these, like, you know, I think that's what a lot of these athletes have to keep them going at such a late age now.
This actually, it goes into my next point, because the NBA is like a younger sport, but college basketball is developing into an older sport, where a lot of guys are getting these 21, 22, 23, sometimes 24-year-olds, right? So it makes no sense. And this is why I get mad at the NBA, because there's a lot of guys that do 4 years in college that come out, they're probably about 22 or 23, and they don't get a shot because they're 23 years old. It makes no sense if college basketball is moving towards an older game, but NBA is still like, oh, we want the youngest dude possible. That makes no sense, because I'm not going to lie, like the athletes nowadays are softer than ever. So I don't know if I would take a 18, 19-year-old because of all the havoc they'll bring. But yeah, it's weird. So.
And that's where I feel like the NBA needs to look into, because why do you think guys like Bron, Steph, Kawhi, KD, why do you think they're still able to produce at their older age? Because they stayed in the gym, they keep their body. Well, not KD per se, because he still, you know, he smokes. So.
Yeah,
but like, you know, Bron spends millions of dollars on training, on, you know, diet, on dietary restrictions, and, you know, he's able to play until 41.
Yeah,
I feel like with then you have guys like I said, Joel Embiid. The reason why the reason he could barely play half a season is because we look at this is where social media comes into.
Yeah.
He posts on social media. He's always eating candy, eating junk food, and or he's always like playing a video game. And it's like, bro, like, all right, have your fun, relax. But it's like during the season, you should want to really cut back and really work on your body, because your body is not like, injuries play a factor into how long you play. The diet is how it plays a factor into how well your recovery goes. Yeah. Because if your diet isn't good, your recovery is bad. Yeah. And like, look at Chris Paul. He had injury issues for his whole career, but he was able to play as long as he did, and then he was able to play 82 games with the Suns at his age because he switched to vegan.
Even when he was with the Spurs, I think he played 82 games, which is crazy. 39 years old.
Because he went vegan. I'm not saying everybody should go vegan, but
Chris Paul went vegan?
Yeah.
But he sat back and was like, it's the diet.
You know who got him on that diet? It was Grant Hill. Grant Hill was on the Clippers 2013. And that was his last year in the league. He was like 39 himself. And I guess Grant Hill tells a story where he was they were both on like the operating table or whatever. Not operating table, but they were getting like work done or whatever. And Grant Hill was just like, nah, you need to like switch your diet, man, because come to vegan because that's why I'm still playing. I feel good, blah 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 blah. And now we have Chris Paul. 30.
Not no more.
Yeah, not no more, but
still was able to
still have him.
CP3 guy, I bet.
I don't know if I'm really a CP3 guy. I will say that Grant Hill, New Haven connection. His father, Calvin Hill, went to one of the schools that I won't name. Yeah. But his father was running back at the Ivy School that's here in New Haven, Connecticut. That's how we have the connection.
His dad went to Yale?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Was a student athlete at Yale.
Really? Yeah. I thought it was somewhere else.
No, if you go into Payne Whitney Gym, you go right by the check-in booth. If you turn right, there's a big poster of Mr. Calvin Hill right on the wall.
Yeah, Grant Hill actually just did an interview not too long.
But I could have swore Grant Hill said something where he said his dad went to. I thought his dad went to like Duke or UNC. That's why he went to Duke. One of those schools.
His father was here.
Here and
Probably got like masters or something.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy.
Around those bigger schools,
oh my goodness.
His dad, what was his dad, like a sports agent or something?
Oh, his dad does it all. Investing. They're trying to build that brand new stadium down in Florida, I believe. Or no, Atlanta. They're trying to, right in the metro area, they're trying to build a brand new arena. And Grant Hill is a partner in it.
Professor K, you don't tell me these things.
Well, you got to take the ethics of sportsman. S&T throughout.
Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Great college player.
Great college player.
I mean,
great.
Fine NBA career.
Yeah.
Great. I don't want to quantify like where he stacks up, but his college career.
Nah, his college career was like all-time great college
all time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was
supposed to be the next Jordan.
Supposedly.
Guys, a couple minutes. I have to go to my 5 o'clock.
Okay, no problem.
All right, boom. We'll just get straight into the playoffs since the NBA playoffs are on right now. Who do y'all got going all the way? What are some of y'all favorite matchups so far? Favorite players? What moments do y'all see happening?
Well, I'm going to give you like a bigger landscape through the lens of a Knicks fan.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I just don't know. I think we'll get by the Hawks. Big game tonight.
Yeah,
exciting. Celtics, it's hard to say. I mean, the Knicks could get hot. Any team could get hot.
Yeah.
They got veteran guys. I think Cat's got to show up.
Yeah.
But man, I'm worried. I don't think they got a good bench finally. A lot of pressure on Mike Brown. A lot of pressure on this guy.
Get him out of there.
If the Knicks don't get past the Celtics, they're going to break the team up.
Hold on. What you're not going to do on this podcast is disrespect Mike Brown. That's not what you're going to do.
Did he grow up in Hampton too?
So there is a connection. But I'm just going to let you know.
There's a connection?
I watched a couple of these episodes.
And you saw my Mike Brown rant? I stand on it, by the way.
I know you do, but you're not going to disrespect him with me saying
How about those? You see those sneakers he was wearing the other day?
Yeah.
With the white, like... kind of clown sneaks. I didn't like it at all.
I'm
They had,
looking
like,
at
they
you.
were like, yeah, but these are comfortable.
I know. So his
Air
were too.
Maxes.
His were too.
Yeah,
Professor
but
K.
he's
Go ahead. Tell us.
on
what's-
national television. He had the big, the front of the sneaker had the big white
Yeah.
rubber thing.
Yeah.
I know that's true. Oh, that person might have been wearing them right there. I just didn't like the look. You're representing New York. I don't know. I'm not saying you got to put a suit on.
I would like the coaches
Like,
to wear suits. I'm not
maybe,
gonna lie.
you know, look like you got some athletic ability. But anyhow, so I'm worried about the Knicks, and then you know, what's going to be the answer for the Knicks? Trade these guys to
have the
try to get
perfect-
Giannis. You know, which by the way, I just want to make a quick point that somebody and I have to. And this is like a Mad Dog take the other day. He's been killing the Bridges trade,
Yeah.
and everybody's killing
Yeah.
the Bridges trade because. But with Nil and all that stuff, him and some other caller over there were making a really good point about how much more valuable the those 5 picks are because in the late rounds now, that's where you get the 22-year-olds.
Exactly.
Like those kids, what's going to change is like you get these kids, advanced, A cup and these young guys. These are like, let's see how they can kind of grow and mature. I mean, one of these guys will come out of the gates hot and be a star immediately. Patterson maybe. But, now you can, these late picks are more valuable. You can get like the Josh Hart types, like the lunch pail guy that'll come in and like just a man. So that was interesting because they're gonna have to blow it up. And that's
I have the perfect, if we lose by any chance before raising a championship, I have the perfect offseason for the Knicks. Perfect offseason for the Knicks.
well, you got to go with it. Let's hear it.
We're getting Mike Brown out of there, number one. We're getting Mike Brown out of there. We need to go get, I wouldn't be mad with Doc Rivers, Mike Malone, one of those two.
So Mike Malone just went to UNC though.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
He's
right.
UNC gang.
Oh,
I think 4-year
yeah,
contract.
I do remember that. Yeah,
Doc Rivers.
But
Why
Doc
don't we
Rivers.
just get Mo Cheeks at this point? Oh, he's already on this.
Yeah, he's on the staff. He's already. I was about to say.
Promoted.
Yeah, but Doc Rivers, I would like Doc there. But then also, we're trading Bridges in the Giannis trade and honestly, I might trade Jalen Brunson too. Honestly, if they lose, I would trade.
We know it'll
everybody.
be interesting because it's always now it's about the picks.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bucks they got Turner, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what else they got, but he's a big. Obviously, I think Towns would probably be in there. They're probably going to want
Towns
one of
for
their.
Giannis
They're going to want one of their.
matches up.
They're going to want one of their young guys.
Yeah.
Kolick or one of like Diawara, one of those guys. One of those young guys.
Send Kolick.
This year's pick, probably, which is first round.
Yeah.
That's the only one we got left, but they're going to want that, and it'll be interesting because it would be teams. They want the picks to for the future, and also I mean OKC is like the model for like they got 2 first-round picks this year.
It did.
I mean OKC is
It
ridiculous.
was robbery. Wait,
No, it's ridiculous.
It's robbery.
Look at that big smile he's got.
No, I mean
Highway robbery. What they did. It should be illegal.
No, all right. First of all, we technically weren't even the first team to do this. The Celtics were back in 2011, 12.
13 when they
13,
traded
yeah,
for.
when they traded KG and Paul Pierce down to Brooklyn.
Yeah,
we just
That is true.
copied the recipe and tweaked it a little.
But you got to hit. Like the Celtics are good because they hit on their picks.
Yeah.
They get all those. Look at those dudes they got come off the bench, all late second round picks. Tatum, Brown, they hit. OKC's like undefeated on their draft picks. But then you get look at the Sixers. Now they got Embiid. Maxey was a late first round pick, but they threw away that Markelle Fultz pick. That was a waste of it. Ben Simmons, where's he? Those were 2 first round picks. It's a miracle that the Sixers are so good.
Yeah,
they
that
gave
is
up on
true.
McCain too early.
McCain.
But anyhow, just to, that's like my Knicks, and it'll be interesting to see if the Bucks were willing to take let's be good now.
Yeah.
We'll take these players. We'll be.
I mean,
competitive.
if they trade, I'm not mad at a Towns Giannis trade because the salaries match up. And if you want Kolick or one of the guys on the bench, take them. I'm not mad at it.
I think it's OKC's to lose.
Yeah.
I like but nobody thought the Lakers would get through this first round.
Yeah.
LeBron chasing that, I mean,
Yeah.
LeBron gets this ring that nobody thought he would get. Luka comes back, Reeves comes back. Watch out for the Lakers.
If the Lakers, honestly, if the Lakers make it at least to the finals or even win, I think LeBron needs to just be like, you know what, I'm done. I got my ring. I'm 41 years old.
I think you would.
41 years. I got a ring. Nobody else can say they got a ring at 41. So I would,
Yeah.
So
Professor K, I know you ain't been really paying attention to the NBA, but you got any ideas?
picks to win it all.
Well, I still bleed gold and purple.
Okay.
Gold and purple.
Yeah, those are the Lakers colors. But this year,
He's been rooting for him since they were the Minnesota Lakers.
that's true. And, that's the reason why I have that first name, because of Cap, who was the center. And then before George Mikan.
For real? You were named after Jabbar?
Really?
No kidding.
Yeah,
What an interesting. I never knew that.
Lou Alcindor.
my first name is Karreem, which is Arabic. It means to be generous.
That
in
is true.
Arabic.
Yep.
Ah,
And my parents
That is beautiful.
wanted me
a
to
man of mystery, this guy.
Yeah, for real.
always. But I will say, I follow numbers a lot, even though I don't watch the games. I do follow the numbers a lot. You'll appreciate this stat. So this year, and you can mark it, the title will go to a team in the West. It's either going to go to my Lakers or it's going to be Wemby. To get,
I do want to say before we get into that next question, I have it out of the East. I do feel like the Knicks can make it to the finals. I do, but like as I said in other videos, it's 5 teams. It was Pistons, Knicks, OKC, Spurs, and I picked a third team. I forgot who it was.
Who you list so far?
Oh, was it Celtics? I think.
Yeah, you said Celtics, Pistons,
Knicks. Oh yeah.
Spurs,
Celtics, Pistons,
OKC.
Knicks, Spurs, and OKC. However, it's definitely going to be OKC and Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. I feel. If the Knicks face up against the Spurs, I feel like we have a good chance because we played them and we beat them, in the cup and stuff like that. Played them well.
Sure.
OKC is different. I don't really know, especially with how the refs are going. So I don't really know. So yeah, that's my pick.
Okay.
So and that goes into the next question: should referees do post-game interviews during the playoffs? Wanted to get into this with Professor K.
So as a former sports official, this is a pretty sensitive topic for me. And I would say if there is a reason, say a controversial call or there's a rule that's been misinterpreted, then the referees should certainly do a post-game presser. I don't think anyone goes to the games just to watch the referees.
Yeah.
But if there's a situation where, a fight breaks out and technicals are assessed to one team and not to the other, or you have to explain some controversial rule, certainly do the presser.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because especially with social media now, refs have a bigger platform and more eyes are on them. And I feel like we have bigger named refs, especially compared to like I would say like 10 years ago. Scott Foster being one of the biggest names in amongst those refs. And then I feel like with the amount of players, especially towards the back half of the season and the earlier parts of these playoffs, you have more NBA players like a Devin Booker, like vocally saying like the refs do need to be questioned a little, or like their decision making needs to be more so unbiased because I feel like it's definitely more of a success kind of thing. Like if one player is more successful or statistically better, he's going to get those calls more frequently. And especially when you're a team like OKC and the Spurs, you play more physical. So certain calls aren't going to get called. But there are some moments where it's definitely very questionable.
I would say, like, for me, from a journalist standpoint, like, yes, they should. Not, like, maybe have a whole presser and press conference, but they should be around where the press conference is going on to have the reporters ask them, like, a question or two. Especially if it's, like, a controversial call or something like that, because they should be held accountable as well. They're not a part of the game as much, but they're there making the calls that keep the game going. As we know with Tim Donaghy, like, he said I can control the game, so they should be held accountable. So yeah,
I seen an old interview. I forgot what the ref's name was, but he was saying how like during the regular season they knew a lot of the refs knew Allen Iverson's attitude was going to give them a problem. And he said one game AI kind of backtalked him, and he was like, "Word, next game I ref, I know what to do." He said he didn't call some of those calls on AI, and it's like if they were doing that back then, especially
imagine
with
what they're
not as
doing
much
now.
technology around. Imagine what are they doing now, especially with betting being I feel like a heavy influence into why so many teams are getting more eyes on them and why more players are starting to get more investigated Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups. I feel like money is playing a heavy factor into how games are being controlled.
Yeah.
And I feel like if the NBA really truly does care about its money and its audience and the consumer, you have to have those refs, especially you don't have to have it in the first round, second round, like conference finals is where it matters the most.
I would say just even any controversial call, like it could be regular season, but say like for instance like Malice in the Palace. Nobody talked to the refs and asked them like, "Hey, are you okay? How did you try to defuse it before it got to X, Y, and Z?" So just anything controversial, they should just be there and be around.
What's funny, the other side of that is, and I don't particularly if everybody else is sitting down, give it a presser, you lose game 7, it's expected that you man up and what's interesting though is I think part of the game that is hard to watch sometimes though is like going to the monitor. Like some of these basketball games, and now like in baseball, I know like with tapping your helmet, and that's not that big of a deal. It's not taking up a ton of time. I don't particularly feel bad for the umpire. I mean, they're probably getting better because that's sort of the point. You probably have it. I'd be interested in your take. I know we're running out of time, but I will say this though: someday you'll have kids, and when you see refs in a hoops game with 10, 11, 12-year-olds,
I can't wait.
Those are that's a tough job.
I can't wait.
And you don't realize how hard that job is being a ref until you got a 10-year-old playing in a travel basketball game. Man, because these parents are wild.
Yeah. I definitely feel like being a ref is an extremely demanding job, and I feel like that's why a presser or two every now and then would help, because now the media, we get a better story instead of hypotheticals and he said, she said stories now.
I actually like in baseball how the umpires, before they'll throw a manager out or whatever, they'll have an arguing match or at least have a conversation before they throw them out. You know what I'm saying? So that's just me. But just to wrap up here, great episode. I want to ask both of you guys, is there any advice you could give to those starting in the sports industry, whether it be media or just, sports operations or just
athletes in general?
Yeah, athletes in general, just sports industry.
Yeah, Cece, you've heard this from me over and over and over again. It's 2 things. Be consistent, be accountable. So be consistent, show up, be where you're supposed to be, do what you're supposed to do every single day. And then when you make a mistake, don't try to blame it on somebody else. Own that mistake. Hold yourself accountable. And pay your dues. Pay your dues. We got so many students that want to leave here before graduation and then become a general manager of some major league franchise. You got to pay your dues. I wouldn't mind it either, but you got to pay your dues and just accept that path. So those are the 2 about being consistent, hold yourself accountable, and then also obviously paying your dues.
Okay.
I would say if you haven't done it yet, don't bet on sports. Don't get the app. Don't do it. I know it makes the game more fun.
I don't really like it anyways.
Or perhaps you've had a good experience, and I think your young generation coming up. I don't know all the stats, but certainly your generation's drinking less. And but the gambling is the vice, and it's dangerous. And I could say this comfortably. Listen, I've had vices that I've had to check throughout my life, but one thing that I've never really done is gamble. And I was in Vegas. I'll tell you a quick story, and I know like you're on the clock here, but I was telling my kids, because now ESPN and everything's like gambling.
Yeah.
So my kids are like 14 and 16. They're asking a lot of questions. What does minus 200 mean? What is all this stuff? And so teaching them and trying to, educate your kids in the house, like, playing some poker so they kind of understand, like, it's a good skill to be able to play cards. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So they're like a social skill. And I was like, what I'm interested in, they know I've never really bet. I've been on a Tyson Holyfield with a friend at a party, but I was talking about these prop bets. I was like, what seems interesting, because when I go to like a casino, I'll play roulette. I don't even play blackjack. I get too anxious sitting at the tables, I was like, I'm going to do, I said, because it's 3 hours behind, I was like, the game's going to be out at 9:30. I said, I'm going to put $50 on Aaron Judge to hit a home run in his first at bat in the first game. And they're playing the A's. And they did it. So I went down to the sports book, MGM, true story. And it was, the odds were like minus 200 or plus 200 to hit a home run any game, which I thought was pretty like low.
Yeah.
I thought it should have been a little higher to hit a home run, but the odds to hit a home run in the first inning was like 580. So $100 gets you 580. So I said, hey, how does this work? I said, I just want to put it. They're like, oh, you have to put it on the app. I was like, wait a minute, like I have to get the MGM app to make the prop bet. He was like, you can go bet on the game at the thing, but if you want to do the prop bets, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, but like, where do you live? I was like, Connecticut. He's like, well, like in Connecticut, this doesn't work, so you can only use the app here. But I was like, you know what, man? I said, I'm not doing it. Judge hits it. Bang. I'm like, I think I would have bet 50, not 100. So that would have been like a $290 payday for me. And then boom, now I'm hooked. Like, oh, I'm good at this. Because later that day, I was sitting there, we were watching the Yankee game, and there was like odds. It was 13 and a half over under, and the Yankees were up like 10-4.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's an easy bet. They hit, and then they kept putting it up, and they finally took it off. But like in my mind, I was like, I would have won 4 bets that day.
Yeah.
And now I'm like toast. And so like that's how they get you. Because now I think like, oh, I could be an awesome gambler. And so I'm grateful that I didn't do that. And I think that's going to be. I worry for my kids of all the different things. That's like one of my biggest fears.
I don't like it because like DraftKings and FanDuel is taking over like the media market. So like podcasts now are being brought out, or they have like FanDuel Network and DraftKings Network and stuff like that, which I don't know why we're promoting degeneracy and gambling.
Isn't crazy? You had to have the app.
Yeah, that's how they get
exactly,
and that's crazy.
That's how they're able to.
That's just crazy. I'm in Vegas. I can't walk up to the. You got all these sheets going around. I can't just like.
Exactly. How it was back in the day.
They're like, no, app.
Crazy.
That's how they get the data. And that's how they get you hooked.
Yeah, and then they're sending me texts.
But all right, thank you guys. This is Locker Room Logic. Most fun episodes thus far. Thank you guys for coming on. Yeah, definitely got to do a part 2, guys. Definitely.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.